We're coming to you live from Intergalactic headquarters for Social Venture Partners Dallas at Pegasus Park. I'm Catherine Cuellar, pleased to be here with our Chief Governance Officer and Board Chair, John Dupree, and our Strategy Committee Chair, Ted Herod. I'm pleased to see that we have a couple of members of our Strategy Committee here today, and I want to thank you all for your work to get us to this point.
We get started. Okay, so anyway, John Dupree, as Catherine mentioned, thanks everybody for being here. Just to tee up what we're going to talk about today, we're going to be taking a breath in the work that's been done for the last few months by the strategy team, kind of turn to the partners and explain where we are, how we got there, but most importantly, hear feedback, questions, because we're at kind of a really cool inflection point now in the work we're doing. The idea today is we're going to spend maybe half the time, certainly no more, explaining where we are, and then try to use the other half of the hour in listening to you, answering questions, gathering feedback, what have you. So we're going to run straight through the program, and then we're going to stop and ask for your input. So take notes as we go along of things that you have questions about or you want to ask about. So before we get started, just want to acknowledge the past 25 years that SVP Dallas has built a fabulous reputation that's been confirmed by some of the work that we did earlier in the year, talking to external stakeholders, and built that reputation on just consistent, high quality work that brings social benefit to our community. And a lot of people on this call are responsible for that. So a big thank you to you. And I think we can all sort of take shared congratulations on where we are, but it's our 26th year. We have a new leader. We've got a lot of new issues that have been raised in our community. So we want to spend time talking about what at this meeting in 2030, we want to look back on and say, well, these last 4 or 5 years, we really knocked it out of the park and met our community where it needed to be. So there are a lot of big questions we're going to talk about, and let's get into it. So Ted, I'm going to turn it over to you to kick us off and start the explanations.
Sure thing. So let me just do a quick setup slide to give us a sense for where we've been, where we are, and where we're going for some context. And I think a number of people that are on this call were at the All Partners meeting back in January, where we kicked off the idea of having a strategy team and taking on the strategy of Social Venture Partners. We announced our partner in La Piana, and we started to roundtable our partners on kind of what was working and what our opportunities here at SVP. From there, we moved into a really, really deep assessment process that we'll talk about here more in a second, with surveys and interviews of partners internal to our organization and partners external to our organization, which ultimately led us to a deep dive into our mission and where are we going as an organization, and in parallel with what are the strategies required to make that mission a reality. And now we're here today, and we're, as John said, take a few minutes to share what some of our conclusions have been, to get your feedback and input, and then ultimately, hopefully, put us in a position where this summer we can start moving into execution mode, into implementation mode. So that's where we are today. As a reminder, on the assessment, we sent out a recap on this, but we've all slept since we received that. And so, as a reminder, we did end up talking to over 75 unique stakeholders in the different groups. You can see there below the line, to get feedback either through interviews, through surveys, through roundtables, to talk about SVP and the environment that we're operating in. And we took some conclusions away from those discussions that we recapped to partners back in early March. I think, Christina, you may have actually had the discussion with Susan Hoff from United Way, who's kind of been an anchor in philanthropy here in Dallas for over 30 years, and said, hey, it's kind of the toughest environment she's seen for nonprofits in her entire career, which is a pretty bold statement from someone like Susan Hoff. So very, very difficult environment for nonprofits. They people generally feel good about SVP, but we have some opportunities to get clear on our mission, bring some metrics to what we do, and then a lot of feedback on our partners. Most definitely our biggest point of differentiation are our dedicated partners, but a strong feeling also that we need to put some energy into our value proposition. And then lastly, just from an external standpoint, people feel great about SVP. They feel great about our brand. They love what we do, but they do feel like it is more than time for a refresh on what we do and how we get there and how we engage with our external partners. And so with that feedback, we decided to tackle this kind of a two-pronged approach to where we're going. One is this idea of a mission refresh, and then taking a look at the programs that we have that support or don't support that mission. So I'll turn it back to John to talk about our mission work.
So the mission responsibility was given to the board, and I told Ted I think we had the easier job, but it didn't feel like it at the time, trying to wrestle our reason for being down into a 25-word statement. But it was important to do because we got feedback from partners. There was some unclarity to what our mission really was, and part of that is because we have competing mission statements. We have our end statements, which in the governance model that we were using at the time constitutes our mission, but in the case of our tax filings, we used another statement. And our onboarding with partners, we used yet another statement. So it's important to solidify into one that could be seen internally and could be used externally to let people know very succinctly who we are, what we did, and why we did it. So the board took that up and we went through several iterations, as you can imagine. But the main thing we want to do is integrate the feedback that we had from the partners on what they felt was important in our mission and what our mission revolved around. And that was really mobilizing partners, being our uniqueness, serving nonprofits front and center, and not all nonprofits, but particularly those that were impacting the underserved in our community, and that we were focused at home. We were focused in North Texas. So we came up with the following mission statement, which I hope will not be a shock or a surprise to you, but a better way of confirming to internal and external audiences who we are. And it is: Social Venture Partners Dallas catalyzes professionals, change makers, and donors committed to building nonprofit capacity that advances social impact in underserved North Texas communities. So you'll be seeing that pretty well everywhere we go for a long period of time to come, but we're proud of the way we think this lets people know who we are and what's important to us. Ted?
So I mentioned that there was a parallel process going on here, the mission refresh along with our programming assessment. And I want to give you a sense for how we looked at this question of our programming tied to that mission. And the first exercise we went through is to literally take all of our programming and put it through a screen against some of the measures you see below. So how our programs connected missionally, how differentiated they were, how profitable they were, et cetera. And while we went through that screen, the group did a really heavy lift on all of our competitive offerings in the North Texas marketplace to really assess ourselves critically on, are we truly differentiated? Are we leaders? Are we bringing innovation? Are we doing something special and impactful for the marketplace? And came out with some conclusions from this work as it relates to our programming. And what rose to the top were three real kind of succinct, clear platforms under which our programming should fall as SVP. And the three planks included: one, no surprise here, but our partner experience. And without question, when we looked at competitive offerings, when we looked at our own offerings, our point of differentiation, as John said, is our partner experience. But as I mentioned in the assessment, it needs a refresh, it needs some retooling, it needs some reinvigoration, but clearly our number one point of differentiation. Two is, we're not a direct service provider into our community, and so we get things done through nonprofits, and we do a great job today with a lot of things that we do, but it's clearly biggest area of direct impact. And, we want to see our efforts and impact kind of redoubled with our nonprofits. And then third was frankly an area where we didn't have as much differentiation. There's a whole lot of organizations doing connectivity exercises in the community, but people felt internally and externally to us that while there is some duplication, we do have a trusted brand. It's something we do well. We are, trusted by numerous organizations that, kind of trust us to bring them together, and therefore should be something we continue in this community connection space. And so you can see the type of programming that would be offered or reinvigorated or created underneath each of these platforms. Certainly under partner experience, we have a new sponsor, likely a new name, but a real opportunity to refresh our cornerstone program with the DJR program. And then lots of feedback on our onboarding and total partner experience once people get out of DJR, or if they come from us from other places other than DJR, in terms of what we could be doing on that front. It's informal, and a lot of us like the informality, but it definitely needs some framework and some reinvigoration in terms of our partner experience when they come in. On the nonprofit side, we'd love to continue to see integration and full integration between Nonprofit Impact Institute and the Opportunities Committee. And we heard from advisees there at the bottom that they love engaging with SVP, but they'd like to have a better holistic picture of how they fully take advantage of our resources to maximize their capacity. And then you guys are familiar with the events that we have today. We think there's an opportunity to really, refresh and reinvigorate and bring some new thinking to our events to include a monthly engagement programming series that works for partners and our external partners as well. So, work to be done to really determine what these programs mean underneath each of the platforms. And Catherine will talk about how that's going to happen here in a second. But as we identified things that we should lean into, we also identified some areas where we frankly aren't as differentiated, and that was impact investing and fiscal sponsorships. And so frankly, we're evaluating, what the continued role of those two programmatic spaces should look like for SVP. So with each of these program spaces, we also talked about how we make sure we get foundationally excellent in each. And that means great execution, clear goals, et cetera, but also getting much, much better in the space of defining impact and measuring results. And while we're foundationally strong in each, we also want to make sure that we continue to live up to our legacy of bringing innovative solutions. What are those next gen ideas that truly drive our differentiation in the marketplace and therefore deliver differentiated results? And some of those things will come internally to us. Some we hope to come from external partners that we can work with. The question did come up at the all partners meeting about asking if we were considering merging as part of that kind of partnership purview for us. And, the answer, today is still the same as it was back at the all partners meeting, is that, the merger is not under consideration, but we definitely want to keep talking to external partners to see if there's ideas that they might have to advance our programs faster than we could ourselves. So that's where we are on our programming focus. Now I want to turn it over to Catherine to talk about how we possibly get to this vision around our programming.
Thank you, Ted. And thank you all again for being here. I see a 512 phone number that joined. I think that's Neely Duncan. If you're able to come off mute and confirm that, great. If not, welcome. So,
hi.
Yep.
Sorry,
Hello.
It's Anna Grace.
Oh, Anna Grace. Thank you. Sorry about that. I was guessing
No,
based
you're
on
good.
registrations. Glad you're here. Anna Grace is a current DJR cohort member. So to get to the level of excellence that has been part of the board's bold vision for our future, it will require optimizing partner expertise in teams to support our nonprofit the way that you all have so generously supported other nonprofits through your capstone projects and opportunities committee advising. And we have 6 areas where we see opportunities for partner teams to begin to form this summer. I want to state clearly that we will not start 6 new committees while everyone is on vacation, and that this is a multi-year rollout. But the first committee where we seek participation is focused on the partner experience, because we know that if our partners have an excellent experience, that will be magnetic for attracting and retaining more of the caliber of partners we know are needed to ensure our success in the decades to come. So with each of these areas of expertise, we are going to shortly share a form that you can scan via QR code if you want to get your camera ready, to indicate what brought you to SVP, but what keeps you engaged and what areas of interest you have in terms of time you are willing to commit, times that you may have availability to serve. Are you interested in the occasional once a year virtual connection, or are you more interested in in-person opportunities? And we're really going to be listening through those partner experience committees to devise our metrics, because we know that impact is everything. And I would uphold to you as a great example, our sister affiliate SVP Denver has just done a strategic plan which echoes many of our themes and has really impressive and aggressive metrics. So I've actually had conversations with SVP Denver's CEO, who is a couple of months ahead of me, but also in her first year on the job. She's introduced me to their partner, who is expert in helping nonprofits define metrics and measure success toward them. And I have a call coming up with him in June. And we know you get what you measure. So as we define our metrics, then we can use project management tools to bring ourselves into alignment with our own standards for excellence best practices that we've been teaching others through our Nonprofit Impact Institute for years. So this is the high level, at a glance overview of where we're going. At the bottom of this pyramid, you see partner teams are the foundation upon which all of our success is built. When we talk about reinventing the partner experience, that may be more extreme sounding than it actually is. I would say we're refining our partner experience. Right now, our primary way for cultivating new partners is at our Social Innovation Lunch series, which is 4 times a year, at our Spring Social, which replaced Philanthropy and was by all metrics a wild and welcome success, and at Big Bang, which is tentatively scheduled on Thursday and Friday, October 15th and 16th at Paul Quinn College and the Federal Reserve Bank. But there is another conference unrelated to Social Venture Partners Dallas, also called Big Bang, in Dallas this summer. It's a global conference that goes to different cities every year. So if ever there were a time to reconsider the name, the brand, and the partners for our premier social impact showcase, this is a great year to do that in conversation with our partners to ensure they're bought in on it. All of that advances this clear, concise, new mission that Social Venture Partners catalyzes professionals, change makers, and donors committed to building nonprofit capacity that advances social impact in underserved North Texas communities. And having that one mission everywhere, because our previous mission was very aspirational, but a little harder to rattle off at the drop of a hat. So we're optimistic. And when we talk about monthly series, I will uplift for your awareness. I hope all of you will join us Friday morning for Coffee Connect at our sponsor, First United Bank on Woodall Rogers in Uptown. Next month, I would encourage all of you to attend our Dana Jewett Residency 10th cohort graduation at the Cooper Hotel on the second Saturday of June. I believe that's the 13th at 10 a.m. And we already know our August Coffee Connect will be at Ruthie's Cafe with brief remarks from founder and social entrepreneur Ashley Hunt Kleinert. So we're still looking for a possible July engagement opportunity among partners. Donna Young was really fired up after Amit's great job as MC at Spark Tank and suggested that we all ride DART to Bonton to have a meal together so that we can experience what it's like to get to a transit desert and in a food desert. I did advise that their seating is outdoors and it will be July, so maybe a breakfast will be the way to go. And also DART runs more frequently in morning rush hour. But those are just the ideas we've had from people without having these formal partner teams. So we know we'll get more good ideas and more structure around them as we collect expressions of interest, which leads me to our next slide. So in the next slide, I will read this to you, and then you will have a chance to provide your partner profile so that we can begin to outreach to partners to match their available interest with these opportunities, different from the opportunities committee, but opportunities aligned to the strategy work you've all been focused on in recent months. So we'll be integrating your feedback. We'll be looking at the technology tools that we have to support this work, including, and I want to give a special thanks to the Kellogg Foundation's generous support of Impala.digital, which is available to us, but also available at a deep discount to our Opportunities Committee advisees and Capstone Project advisees in the Nonprofit Impact Institute Clinic Series. Then we will be forming these teams and sequencing them. The first to launch will be Partner Experience. The other 5 teams will launch over the next couple of months and years. And then we will be making some staff and contract support assignments to support the work of these teams. I hope by now all of you have seen in the Monday missive that Seth Block, our director of collective impact, is leaving us at the end of this week. And his colleague who preceded my tenure, Danielle King's position, has also been vacant. I think that this work will ensure when we make a hire that we are hiring for the right fit to complement the team members we have and the opportunities that we have based on your partner feedback, which we are eager to hear in just a few minutes.